Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today is the last day of 2020, so we're going to go through and do my 2020 favorites. These are my holy grails, my go-to products, the products that I reach for the most, the products that I have loved and fallen in love with over this year, and definitely the products that you need. So we're going to go through and do that. Make sure you like this video, comment down below and let me know some of your holy grails, the products that you've been using more than anything this year. But yeah, make sure you subscribe and click the little bell next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified when I upload. And yeah, let's just get into this video. Okay, so we're going to go through and go through these products. So I tried to grab only 2 of each product of each category, but there are some that I do have 3 because I could not narrow it down to 2 because I reached for the 3 of the products. But most of everything I only have 2 products of each category. And then I did only do beauty. If you want to see like my skincare favorites, my hair care favorites, just miscellaneous favorites, I can do a video on that. Just let me know in the comments down below. But I did do just beauty because just makeup, because otherwise we'd be here all day. So I'm just going to start and go through it the way that I would go through and do my makeup. So first I would start with my brows. And I have, let's see, so I have 3 brow products where they're all work together. So I have my Colourpop Brow Boss Pencil. So of course, if you've watched any of my videos, I use this probably a little more than I should. But this one just is like no other. I use this to outline my brows, and it just does such a good job. It stays in place. It works well with the other brow products that I use. It doesn't move around. Like I said, it stays all day. It doesn't wear off or bleed, and like I said, it makes my brows look really, really good. And I just love, I have the color Soft Black, and it just works so well with my natural brows and blends in so well. So yeah, definitely the Colourpop Brow Pencil. Next is the Anastasia Dip Brow. So when I did my one dip challenge, I had to use a pomade because, you know, with just a brow pencil, you can't dip once. So I used the brow pomade from Anastasia, and let me tell you, ever since that video, I have used this every day. I don't think there's a day that I don't do my brows, because a lot of days I don't even do my makeup, but I at least do my brows. And I use this every day. So I made a pretty good dent in it. But I mean, it is a really good drop. Something else. All right. So I did make a dent in it. But there is a lot of product in here, so I won't have to repurchase this for a while. And I use the shade, if you were wondering, medium brown is the shade that I use in this. And let me tell you, this is amazing. It's very pigmented. It glides on really, really easily, but it does not move around once you put it in place. And I set it with my brow. When I set it with my brow gel, then it stays in place. It doesn't go anywhere. So yeah, definitely the brow pomade by Anastasia. And let me get the top since I dropped that. Okay, so I don't set my brows till the end, till after all of my makeup is done, because after using powders and everything, my brows become a little ashy and just a little powdery. So I do use, wait to the end to use my brow gel. But this is the Colourpop Brow Boss Gel, and this is in the shade, I think it's also in the shade Soft Black. Yeah, it's the same as the brow pencil. It's in the shade Soft Black, but this is what I use. And this just keeps my brow pomade and my brow pencil from fading throughout the day. From like, sometimes I'll forget that I have makeup on and I might scratch my eyes or whatever, and it just keeps it from transferring and keeps it from coming off. And like I said, it keeps it looking good throughout the whole day. I have not had an issue with this. This is amazing and definitely a holy grail. So next, after my so this one, there's none, I haven't found anyone like this one. I use the NYX Proof It eyeshadow primer. I use this in every video. I use this on a daily basis if I do wear eyeshadow, because this keeps my shadows in place. It keeps them from creasing. It keeps them from transferring, from fading, and then just, you know, keeps it in place all day, no matter heat, sweat, water, whatever, because it is waterproof. So it definitely does a really good job at keeping my eyeshadow looking the best and just staying in place all day. So this is what that looks like. And of course, I've talked about this. If you've watched any of my videos, I've talked about this in so many of my videos. And like I said, I use this. If I do my eyeshadow, I use this. So next, eyeshadows. So this was so hard to narrow down to 2 because I use so many eyeshadows, and there are so many eyeshadow palettes, so many good eyeshadow palettes that have come out this year. But the 2 that just stood out to me the most, that for me were out of my comfort zone and different. I mean, I use neutral eyeshadows all the time. So when I was thinking about something that I reach for the most, these 2 stood out because I use them more than I use most eyeshadows, and you know, they're just really good. So first is the Anastasia Glam palette. Now, if you know me and you've watched my videos, you know I am a warm tone neutrals girl. I just can't do cool tone eyeshadows. But when I tell you this palette, I have reached for more than just about every one of my warm tone neutrals palettes. This palette is, I mean, now it is pricey. This palette is pricey, but it is worth every penny. When I started, I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and start using some cool tone palettes, but I also wanted to use a palette that I knew would work very well. And Natasha Denona's palettes are really easy to work with. They're really bendable. They're really dependable. I know for a fact that they're going to work really well. And so when I decided to get a cool tone palette, I was like, okay, what's something that I know I won't have a hard time working with because I'm already uncomfortable doing cool tone palettes anyways. So this is my go-to, and I love this palette so much. And it does have neutrals, but they're cool tone neutrals. So this is what this looks like. And I mean, I haven't even made a dent in these shades, and I use this one so much. Like I said, this is one now I do reach for different eyeshadow palettes, but when I say that I reach for this one the most, I definitely do reach for this one the most. Even if I use another eyeshadow palette, I find myself dipping into this one maybe for a neutral shade or for a shimmer shade, inner corner shade, brow bone shade. I might even add this one with another eyeshadow palette, but I always end up pulling this one out for almost every look that I do. Along with that is the At First Sight Colourpop palette with Colourpop and Raw Beauty Kristi. This was so beautiful. When I tell you, this palette it stood out so much to me because number one, it's not like any palette that Colourpop has done before. But Colourpop's eyeshadow palettes, number one, they're affordable. Number two, they're not lackluster. They're not lacking in the pigmented department or the blendability department. They work just like a lot of the high-end palettes that I have without the price tag of a high-end palette. When I tell you, these shadows work so beautifully, and when I tell you, I've been loving these greens. I've noticed that green looks really good with my skin tone and works well, but I just absolutely love this palette. I reach for this one, like I said, more than all the other ones. And you know me, you know, neutrals is my go-to, and this is not a neutral palette at all. But it does have some neutrals in it, but I tend to reach for the colors more than the neutrals in this palette because it's just, this palette is amazing. If you can, I don't know right now if it's in stock, but if it is, and I think it is limited edition, but if it is, definitely grab it because you will not be disappointed. It is definitely worth it. And like I said, the price is amazing for what you're getting. You can't beat it. So after my eyes, I do liner. So I have 2 liners that I've talked about, like I said, in almost all of my videos. I have the Colourpop BFF liquid liner and the Covergirl liner, and this is in Major Matte Black because I think they have 2 of these, but you have to get the one that's Major Matte Black. Me personally, I love a liner that is black and dries down matte black. I don't like most eyeliners that I encounter, after you put them on, they go on black, but they end up being like a gray black, and I do not like that. I like for my liner to be jet black. And when I tell you, both of these do a very good job of that. And then on top of that, it's really hard for me because I have hooded eyes. It's really hard for me to do wings. I have struggled for years trying to get my wings right. And when I tell you, these are the best 2 for wings. I'm going to show you what the tips of them look like. So this one, the Colourpop one, is a little more stiff than the Covergirl one, but they still, both of them I find work really, really well. So that's one. This one's I like this one because it's a little stiffer, but it's not too stiff to where you can't work with it, and it doesn't, you know, bend at all. So that one. Now this one, I will say, this one's a little harder than this one because this tip is a whole lot flimsier. But I find it that if I use my e.l.f. eye tapes, now I don't have to use my e.l.f. eye tapes, but when I first started, when I used my e.l.f. eye tapes with it, I just put the eye tapes down and then use the liner on top of that, and then it worked well. Pull the eye tapes off and you had a sharp line. But like I said, this tip is a little more flimsy because it's a little longer than the Colourpop one, if you can see that. But like I said, I did look for a liner that went on black. Now both of them do that, but if you're looking for one when you're just starting off and you want to get into wings, both, you know, this one, I would recommend this one before this one, but I would still recommend both of them because like I said, both do dry down black and they stay in place all day, and they're both amazing. And of course I will, if you can't remember what exactly I'm talking about, because there's quite a bit of stuff that I'm going through and I'm trying to go through it pretty fast, I will link everything down below, so you'll, in the description box, so you'll be able to, I'll put the links for them and you'll just be able to click on them and go to whichever products I'm talking about. So after, I'm going to stick with the eyes. So after that, I don't do this is not the next step. I do this after I've done my under eye eyeshadow, but I will recommend this is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On eye pencil. I just have the black, but any of these eye pencils are good. I have a big problem with my eyes watering, so whenever I use an eyeliner, it has to be not necessarily a waterproof eyeliner, but an eyeliner that will stay in place if my eyes water. This definitely does that, and it's really pigmented. It's what I have on today. A lot of these products I do have on today, by the way. But yeah, it's definitely pigmented. It stays in place all day. It doesn't smear, it doesn't budge, and like I said, this one's amazing. It glides on really, really easy. I don't have to drag it. So yeah, definitely. And then of course, you know, I had to talk about my Colourpop cream gel liners. So I just brought this because it's aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, the Colourpop cream gel liners are, besides the Urban Decay one, these are my go-to. When I tell you, I mean, this is not even half of the colors that they have. This pencil is heaven sent. Okay, yeah, maybe exaggerate a little bit, but it's really, really good. These, like I said, they glide on really, really easily. That's why, and they're a cream. It's a cream formula. Well, I think the Urban Decay one is too, but yeah, these glide on really easily. They stay in place all day. They're very, very pigmented. I end up using, most of the time, I use Honeydew, which is the cream one for if I want my eyes to be a little more awake. And then the black one, which, you know, I use those two the most. They're my go-tos. But if I ever want a pop of color, but you don't want to use eyeshadow, these will work because they definitely show up whatever color you use. And like I said, they have every color in the rainbow that you can think of, even metallics. Now I got a case of one of their, I think it was one of their holiday collections, and it came with a couple of metallics. But I love these. I swear by these. They are amazing, and if you don't have them, they are super cheap. They're very inexpensive. I mean, you can get a pack of them for really cheap, or you can just buy one and try it. But if you don't have these, I definitely recommend you try them, especially if you have a problem with watery eyes. Definitely, this is my definitely go-to. Yeah. Alright, so lashes. I do not have on lashes today. I thought I'd just let my lashes breathe for a little bit because I have been using lashes a lot. But my go-tos are the Eyelure Lundy Wispy Lights. They're number 117s. And the pack of 3 is like $5. These, now I have to admit, the more that I do my makeup, the more that I get into things that I think I wouldn't like. Just like for a while in my giveaway video, when I went through all of the Colourpop holiday collections, you know, the bottom row of lashes that I showed were like huge and fluttery and really, really just out of my comfort zone. But I tried them on the other day and they are beautiful. But these are my go-to. If you're scared of lashes or you don't want to look like you have on lashes, these make your lashes these look like your lashes but better. So you want people to kind of wonder, are you wearing lashes, or are those your lashes? Whenever I wear these, I have a lot of people that comment me on my lashes. They don't think that I'm wearing false lashes. The band is really, really thin. It's easy to work with. It's very flexible, but it's not flimsy, and they stay in place all day. These I would definitely recommend if you're just starting out and you want to try something, but you don't want them to look like you have on lashes. You want them to look as natural as possible. These are the ones that I would definitely recommend. So mascara, I have two mascaras. They are both from Essence. I have the Essence Lashes of the Day, and then the Essence Lash Princess, the False Lash Effect. Any of the Lash Princess line, they have different ones for different needs, but the green one is just my favorite because the False Lash Effect is what I go for most of the time. But these two are my go-tos. I want to also mention the Colourpop one, the Colourpop mascara, but I didn't want to recommend it because they don't have it in stock. It hasn't been in stock since, I don't know, the last time that it was in stock. So I didn't want to recommend that one if you can't get it. That one is also good. So if it does come back in stock, it's just the black one. If it does come back in stock, then I would recommend that one. But these two, you can go to Ulta and get. I have a big problem with my top lashes are very thick, very long, so I never have an issue with those. It's always my bottom lashes. My bottom lashes are non-existent unless I use unless I use mascara. And then when I do use mascara, I have an issue with when I, drag to put it on my lashes. I always end up getting mascara underneath my eyes, and mascara is something that I do after I do my eyeshadow, so it always ends up messing up my eyeshadow that I put on the bottom because it always hits. These two do not do this, and that was one big thing that I was looking for is mascara that's easy to use to where when I do put it on my bottom lashes, it doesn't smear and smudge underneath my eyes, because then it just makes it look bad. I definitely recommend these two. They are very inexpensive. Essence in general is inexpensive. So I do recommend these two for mascara if you're looking for. Now they do an amazing job on my top lashes. They make them look even better than they already do. But if you're looking for something definitely that does not smudge when you put it on your bottom lashes, these two are definitely my go-tos. All right, next, let's see. Oh, lash glue. I forgot to mention my favorite lash glue is the Kiss Strip Adhesive, and this one's just a clear one that I use. But I have a problem with my eyes, or I have sensitive skin in general, so my eyes are very sensitive, so I didn't want a lash glue. I've heard horror stories about lash glue irritating your eyes, and then of course too, you're putting it so close to your eyes that I didn't want anything that would irritate. This has done an amazing job of keeping my lashes on all day and not irritating my eyes. When I use this at the end of the day, there's still a little tug to get my lashes off. Now I will have to admit, you'll have leftover lash glue for like the next couple days if you don't get it off good, but it does keep your lashes in place, and that I don't mind because I don't use lashes that much, so if it's stuck in my eyes, it's fine. But it's not, you don't have to drag to get it off, but it is a little work to get it off of your eyes after you've taken your lashes off. But like I said, it does keep my lashes on all day. I do have a problem with the inner corners popping up a lot, but I notice when I do use this, because I've tried a couple of different lash glues, because having my channel, I do want to be able to recommend more than one type of thing, just in case, different price points, different needs for different people, whatever. But this, I haven't found anything that works as well as this and doesn't irritate my eyes, so this one I would definitely recommend. All right, foundation. So I have two foundations for two different types of people. So there are some days where I want full coverage, and there are some days like today where I want my natural skin to peek through just a little bit. These are my two go-tos. Like I said, very different needs. This one is the Urban Decay, the Stay Naked Weightless Liquid Foundation. So this one, is very, very lightweight. It is definitely weightless, but it does stay in place all day. I've worn it, I think, for 8 hours at the most, and it looks just as good at the end of the day as it did when I put it on. I have freckles naturally, so sometimes I do like for them to show through, and if I do, this is a foundation that I go for. It's an amazing foundation. Like I said, it is weightless. It feels like second skin. I don't feel like I have anything on my skin when I'm wearing it. It's not heavy at all. It does definitely do what the claim says. It is definitely weightless, but it does keep me matte, keep me just looking flawless all day. And I think it does say that it's pore filling, and I noticed that I've gotten more pores as the years have gone on, and this does definitely cover those up. But like I said, it's not a full coverage foundation, so if you are looking for a full coverage foundation, you might want to go with my second choice. But yeah, if you're looking for something for like even every day that's weightless and makes your skin, it's like your skin but better, like I said, it is a second skin, then I would definitely go for this one. Now, if you're looking for a full coverage foundation, I would go in with the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Velvet Matte Foundation. This foundation is definitely full coverage and definitely matte. I make sure I have dry skin, so I make sure that I use a really good hydrating primer when I use this, and most of the time I will go in with a primer oil before I use this, but I don't have any problem with this drying out my skin. It is matte, but like I said, if I do my skincare right and prep right before I use this, it's flawless. Like I said, it definitely is full coverage. It stays on all day. It doesn't move around. It doesn't transfer, and like I said, it's just all around good foundation. And there's a whole lot of shades with this too, so I would definitely recommend this if you're looking for a full coverage foundation. But those are my two go-to foundations. All right, so I have concealers. So I am going to mention my Becca under eye brightening corrector. I naturally have bags under my eyes. Thank you, genetics, for that, and my grandpa for that. But this definitely cancels that out, and I've used this. Like I said, I've made a really good dent in this, but I think there's two shades. I use the lighter one because I noticed that the salmon, more pinky tone, works better for my skin tone. But yeah, this is definitely, sometimes I won't use it, but I notice a difference if I don't use it, because their concealers do cover, but I've noticed I don't like a more thick, cakier concealer. So if I do go under it with this definitely brightens up my under eyes, but then it too helps to hold my concealer on. So I definitely would recommend, if you are looking for like an under eye brightening corrector, I would definitely recommend the Becca one. All right, for concealers, I've got two. I have the Juvia's Place I Am Magic Concealer, and then the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. So price points are a little bit different. This one's a little bit more expensive than this one, but it's still not considered high-end. I would still consider it. I would consider it between high-end and drugstore. But both of them work really, really well. There's not one that I reach for more than the other. They both, to me, work the same way and do the same thing that I'm looking for. They conceal, they cover up, they last all day. They don't crease. Now, my under eyes naturally crease after some hours anyways, but I've noticed that these do it the least. And they just work well with my powders. Like I said, both of these I would definitely recommend because they're just all around good concealers. I don't know if they both claim to be full coverage, but for me, they are. Like I said, I don't know if they claim to be. And of course, you could always build them up. But yeah, I definitely would recommend both of these. I almost forgot. I did not do primer. I'm sitting here looking at all the stuff that I still have left on my table. Primer. So I do have 3 primers. So I have 3 primer sprays and then 3 primers. So I'm going to go through and do the primers first. So I have my Ciate London Watermelon Burst Hydrating Primer. I have my Milk Hydro Grip Primer, and then I have the Paradise Prime Hydrating Primer. So most of my primers, if you notice, most of mine are hydrating. I don't like a matte primer. My face is already dry enough. If I do use a primer, it is definitely a hydrating one. So these are my 3 go-tos. that I use. All of them keep my foundation in place all day. They keep my face hydrated and not feeling like tight. I've had a lot of times where there are some foundations that I use where after I put it on, you can just feel, your face feels just tight and dry, and then it starts to settle. A lot of my foundations settle in around my nose. Those the problem places that I have around my nose, my smile lines, and a lot of times underneath, either underneath my eyes or a little bit of my forehead. But if I use these primers, it doesn't do it as much. Now, I'm always going to have foundation settle into my smile lines. I smile all the time, so that's just inevitable. But it keeps it from happening longer, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't look like it would if I didn't use a primer or if I didn't use a hydrating primer. So I would definitely recommend these three if you do have. Now, I think I would recommend this one is hydrating, but BH Cosmetics does have a luminous one and a matte one. So they do have more than one type of primer out of the Paradise Prime line. But this is just the one that I go to because it is hydrating. The Ciate one, like I said, it's hydrating, but it's not oily, and it doesn't make your skin look greasy or look shiny. So even if you do have oily skin, this one's fine, would be fine too. But like I said, if you have dry skin, I definitely would recommend this one. And then I like the Hydro Grip Primer. This was not necessarily a hydrating primer. It might be a hydrating primer, but I like it because when I put it on, it gives you that tacky feel. So it holds onto my foundation and makes it settle into my skin a whole lot better. This one's always good. And sometimes I'll mix one or two of them just to give me a little extra. If I'm needing a little extra on a day where my skin feels extra dry, I'll add this one in with another one. But yeah, this one more so I use because it is a gripping primer. It does definitely grip and hold on to your foundation. So, okay, so my primer spray. So I use these before I put on my foundation and at the very end after I've to set my face. So these two I've used longer because just I found these earlier. So I have the Milani Fruit Fetish Make It Last spray. They do have a plain one, but then they do have the scented ones also. And then the BH Paradise Set Hydrating Setting Spray. And of course, hydrating, so I definitely use these. These two, they're just good. They keep my foundation on, my skin looking really, really nice. And then sometimes there are days where I go throughout the day and I need a refresher. I feel my skin getting a little tight and looking a little dull, and I just spray these on and they do a really good job of just making me look a little more fresh, like I had just done my makeup. But yeah, these definitely keep my makeup on and keep it looking really good all day. And I did have to mention, I have not been using this one as long, but I think I use this one now more than any of them, just because it does a really good job of keeping my foundation in place and keeping it on all day. And if I need a refresher, I can use it. But I just love the mister on this. A continuous settings mist is my favorite. You never like a spray or a mist that you feel like is drenching you. You never want that. You always want a light mist because you don't want your foundation to be drenched and wet. That would just ruin the whole thing. But this one, just the spray on this one, I'm going to spray it so you can see. If you can see that. It's just so light, and I literally could spray this. Yeah, we're just going to add. But yeah, I can literally spray this on my face all day. The mister on this is like no other that I have ever used. And like I said, it does a really good job of keeping my foundation in place and just keeping my face looking fresh and looking good and just hydrated and not dry or cakey. And it does a really good job of that. But like I said, I think I fell in love with this because the mister on this is just amazing. Alright, after that, okay, so I'm going to do bronzer, but I do have a liquid, well, a balm type bronzer that of course you would use before you put on any of your powder. So I just started using the Soul Face and Body Bronzing Balm. I haven't been using this very long, but I use this since I have gotten it in the mail. I've used this every time that I do my makeup. It's just, It smells amazing. It looks really, really good on the skin. It's easy to blend out, easy to work with. For a long time, I did not use any kind of bronzer. I was just scared of bronzer. I didn't want to look, number one, I didn't want to look muddy. I didn't want it to look muddy. I didn't know what tone to use. I didn't know if I would blend it out well, especially cream bronzer. I got a little bit more into powder bronzer earlier, but cream bronzer, I was just like, no, that's a no. But when I started using this, when I tell you this is the easiest thing to work with, you cannot mess it up. It's easy to blend out. It's not intimidating. It's not it's pigmented, but it's not pigmented to where you can't blend it out. Like there's been times where I've gotten a little heavy-handed and I put on a little too much, but if you blend it out, it just looks so beautiful. It gives you that sun-kissed look. But it doesn't overdo it. It definitely does not look muddy on the skin. It just, like I said, it gives you that nice little, like you've been out in the sun in wintertime, just a little bit, you know. But yeah, I definitely love this. Like I said, if you are just wanting to start with bronzer, cream bronzer, and you don't know what to start with, I would definitely recommend the Bronzing Balm. And like I said, you can use this all over your body, not necessarily just your face. It is a body bronzer also. And like I said, it smells amazing. Smells like coconuts, like you're laying on the beach somewhere. So I would definitely recommend this one. And for powder bronzer, of course, you know I'm going to talk about my Fenty Beauty Sunstalker bronzer in Cocoa Naughty. This is the one that I use. I love this bronzer. It also is not intimidating because, like I said, it took me a long time to get into bronzer. But when I first started using this, it works amazing. It's easy to blend out. It stays all day. It works well on top of my powder and on top of to keep my cream bronzer in place. Every cream bronzer that I've used, this has worked well with. It's blended out well with, and it's settled on top of it well, and it's kept all of that in place. I definitely recommend this bronzer, or any of her Sunsparkle bronzers. I don't know how many shades she has, but I would definitely recommend this bronzer. I love this, and I use this just about every time I do my makeup. I do use this. I'm trying to get, you know, into more bronzers because this is a little pricey. Like I said, it is a high-end product, so it is a little pricey, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, powder. So I have two powders. I have my Fenty Beauty Pro Filter powder in Banana. This powder is, I'm actually not going to open it because the one complaint I do have, I'm pretty sure about most powders, that they get everywhere. But I like a powder that makes my skin feel like I can touch it and it's not sticky anymore. So it does dry my foundation down to a matte, but not too matte, because like I said, my skin is dry. So most of the time I don't have to set my face with powder, but I do like to because it just keeps your foundation and any of it from transferring and also from fading away easier and faster just throughout the day for your normal wear and tear of things that you're doing. So yeah, this is definitely keeps all of my products in place. I've used it on days where I've like sweated a whole lot, and it's just made my skin look really, really good. It, you know, lasts all day. And I would definitely recommend this one. I just have the shade Banana, but I think there are a couple more of them. But yeah, this one, and it smells really good too, so that's always a plus. And then the other one I got in one of my Ipsy bags, the Complex Culture Set Go Translucent Powder, and this is in Clarity. This is definitely a blurring powder. When I tell you, it just makes my skin look airbrushed and flawless. And it feels amazing on the skin. When I use it, I mean, my face feels just so good. This is what I used today. And it just makes my skin just look and feel really, really good. But like I said, it is definitely not drying on the skin. It's not cakey. It doesn't make my foundation just look, ball up and look just dry and not hydrated at all. So I would definitely recommend this one. I know you can only get this one on their website because it is a product with Ipsy. You can only get it on the website, but you can get it on their website. So I would definitely recommend this one. I've been loving this one since I've had it. I've been alternating between the two, and it just depends on the day. There's not one that I love more than the other, but either one of the two I would definitely recommend. But this one I think is a little bit cheaper than the Fenty one. Okay, so next is blush. Oh, yes, blush. Okay. So I have two powder blush products, kind of products, because they're singles in a Z palette. And then I have a liquid blush. So for the liquid blush, the Rare Beauty blush, and this is in Love. This blush is so pretty. And it's just... okay, it's just really good. It's easy to work with, easy to blend out. It's not... doesn't make you look like a clown. You don't have clown cheeks when you're done using it. This color is really, really dark. But when I put it on, it just blends out so nicely. I have it on my face today. It's just a beautiful product. Like I said, it is easy to work with. It is easy to blend out, and it does. But once you set it, it does stay in place all day. It lasts all day, and it just gives you that nice flush, you know, of just, you know, look like you just saw your crush across the way, and you know. But yeah, I love this, so I would definitely recommend the Rare Beauty blushes. Any of the liquid blushes I would recommend. This is just my go-to because I just like the color. Alright, so next are my powder blushes. So when I did my Juvia's Place tutorial, or my one brand tutorial, when I used all Juvia's Place, I got this, and I've been using this one ever since. This is the Saharan Blush Volume 2 palette. I love this palette. My go-tos, I usually use these two. This one down here and this one up here are my go-tos, but all of them are really pretty. This I use most of the time to set any cream blush that I put on. But for, let's see, what I would use, well, I would say Yara is more of a bronzer shade. But for 5 blushes, the price is really good, and these work really, really well. Like I said, they stay in place. They last all day. They don't fade throughout the day. But yeah, I mean, I just love this palette. Like I said, this is one of my go-tos. I definitely reach for this one and the other one that I have more than any of my other blushes. And like I said too, you get so many different shades. So if you want to travel with this, it's nice because, you know, one day you may want a more pinky blush and another day you may want a darker blush. So you do have options in this, which is why I love eyeshadow. Why I love blush palettes as opposed to just single blushes. But yeah, this is definitely one of my go-tos. And then the other one are the Colourpop blushes. And these are just the single blushes that I've popped into a Z palette. So I got this as a... it came as a palette, but I just picked them out, and of course they send it like this. But I use my go-tos are these two up here, but just depending on the day, depends on which ones I use. I have used all of them because they're all beautiful. Like I said, these also, they stay in place. This is easy to travel with. It's definitely worth the money. For blush, they're really pretty. They're pigmented, but they're not intimidating also. Now, yeah, go in with a light hand because they are pigmented. So, you know, but even if I use, there's some days where I have a heavy hand and I use too much blush, if I just go in with my sponge and just blend it out with my leftover foundation, it works perfect. But yeah, I definitely would recommend the pressed powder blushes from Colourpop. And like I said, you can get them just the singles. You don't have to get a full Z palette. You can just get the singles. But I just got the palette so I could pop them in. That way, if I want to take this with me, I have options. So, highlighter. Okay. If you've watched any of my videos, you know eyeshadow palettes and highlighters are my two favorite things. So this was also definitely really hard to narrow it down to 2. But I tried to narrow it down to 2 that I felt like I used more than I did any of the other ones. If I, you know, reached in my drawer, which ones would be my go-tos. So the BH Blushing in Bali. This is a 6-color blush and highlighter palette. This also, I like this because it does also have blushes, and BH's blushes work just as good as their highlighters. A lot of BH's products I love. Everything that I've used, I don't think there's anything that I haven't loved. I pretty much rave about a lot of their stuff. But yeah, also with the blushes, these highlighters are amazing. So these are 3 of the ones that I reach for more than anything. This is actually my second palette. I pulled out the nicer one because I didn't want you to see how my old one looked. But I actually have 2 of them because I use it so much. But yeah, these definitely are my go-to shades, and I use them for Sometimes I use them for highlighter. I also use them for eyeshadow. If I want a shimmer shade, I also use them for the inner corner. I don't just use them for one thing. They have multiple purposes. Also, you can do the same thing with the blushes too. You don't necessarily just have to use the blushes for the blush. They can also be used as eyeshadows. But yeah, that's why I picked this, because it does definitely have more options. It's not just one highlighter. You definitely get bang for your buck with this. And also the Essence Pure Nude Sunlighter Palette. So this is, I use all of these shades, not necessarily for highlight, but I use all of them, whether, like I said, for eyeshadow, brow bone, for highlight, whatever, depends on the inner corner. It just depends on the day and what I'm looking for that day. But these are definitely worth your money. They just, I'm gonna, like, these, they're just, see how, they're so pretty. If you see that. Me personally, I still like a blinding highlight. That's just the type of person that I am. I do have that on my face today. That's just how I like my highlight to be. I like you to be able to see me from Mars. And yeah, this does that for me. But it also, you can get a subtle highlight with it. I just build it up to make it more blinding, but it, you know, you can get a subtle look with it. But like I said, these stay in place all day. They're really, really beautiful. They're creamy. It's like a, it feels kind of like a cream because they're that buttery. They're really, like I said, they're really easy to work with. They're just beautiful. They stay in place all day, and they just make my skin, you know, they give you that nice glowy look, but not too much if you don't want it to be too much. Me personally, I like a little over the top, but you know, that's just me. If you don't like that, these will still work. Like I said, just go in with a light hand and they work just as good. But yeah, I would definitely recommend those two highlighter palettes. Okay, so I have 2 lip glosses, 2 lipsticks, and then 3 lip balms. Lip products, you know, I have a whole lot of them. So when I tell you these are my go-tos, that's saying a lot, because I have way too many lip products than a person needs in their lifetime. But these are definitely my go-tos. So I have my, for lip gloss, any of the Fenty gloss bombs, I would definitely recommend. And like I said, these are, I'm giving you 2 different price points because these are a little more expensive, but they work really, really good. Now, I will say the Colourpop glosses are dupes for these. So if you're looking for a gloss but you don't want to spend the money for the Fenty ones, I definitely recommend the Colourpop ones. But I just have this one, so this is the one that I reach for the most because I love this one. And also my Essence Shine 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 lip gloss. So this is a brand new one, but yeah, this is definitely my other go-to if I'm looking for a clear gloss, because a lot of the times when I wear a matte lipstick, I do like to put a gloss over it. So one of the two, if I'm looking for a little more color, then if I'm looking for a clear one, I will show you. This is how much, like, mine does not have any writing on it anymore at all, and it looks like there's barely anything in here. It looks quite disgusting because I use this on a daily basis on top of most of my lipsticks. So I just had to, I went out and got a new one because mine looks, but hey, it's well used, so you know I use it. I wouldn't recommend something that I did not always use. Also, I have, for lipstick, I have any of the Essence lipsticks are really, really nice. And I think it's like $4 for the lipstick. But I just like the This Is Nude collection, because if I'm not wearing just a gloss, my go-tos are a nude. So this is Nude. I use this shade Legendary. But any of the new ones are nice. This is just my go-to nude that looks good on me. But this is what I use. I love, they smell really, really good. They don't, my biggest thing is I don't like lipsticks that after you talk for a while you get that white ring around your mouth. I cannot stand that. And then I can't stand lipsticks that make that when they fade, because all lipsticks are gonna fade. It's just inevitable, especially if you wear one that's not matte and then I put a gloss on top of it. So you know, it's gonna fade throughout the day the more you do, but I like for them to fade naturally. I don't like for them to fade and I look like I have butthole lips. I don't like that, and this definitely does that. It fades really, really nicely when it does fade, but it does last a good amount of time when you do put it on, because it is not matte. This is not a matte lip. It's not a matte lipstick. It will transfer. And for a matte lipstick, I have the Fenty Beauty, the Stunna Lip Paint, and this is in Uncensored. You know me, if I don't go for a nude, I like my bold colors, so I do go for a red. And this is the best red. I like I would say, is it a blue undertone red? I'm not, like, I don't like reds that have like an orange undertone or a pinky undertone. I need like a blue undertone red, like a true red. And when I tell you, this red is amazing. Like, this will last you all day. And I've even eaten with this before and it's lasted through eating, because it is a matte lipstick. I love this. And like I said, this red looks good on any skin tone. I would definitely recommend this one. Like I said, it's uncensored. But yeah, if I don't go for a nude, I will go for a red. And this is definitely my go-to red. Now, I do recommend using it with a lip liner, because if you're like me, I cannot put on a matte lipstick, a matte liquid lipstick, and it not smear somewhere on the outside when I'm putting it on. It's bad. So I always use a lip liner first. I use the Colourpop lippy pencils. Those I definitely recommend. I didn't add them in here because I don't use a lip liner. I only use a lip liner if I'm using a bold color, which is not very often. Most of the time I go for a nude. So I don't use them when I go for a nude, but when I go for a bold color, I definitely use those. And like I said, this is definitely the red, my go-to red. I don't think... There's a couple other reds that I use, but this one is just the one I use the most. I use this one more than any of the other ones. And then lip balms. There are some days where my lips get really chapped, and then, you know, in the winter time, it's hard anyways for your skin, your hair, your lips, everything just is dry. So these, I've noticed, are the best ones that keep my lips hydrated. So I've got the Milani Fruit Fetish lip balm. This is pineapple papaya. They have a lot of different scents, but this is just one of the ones that I grabbed. I think I have all of them, but this is just one of the ones that I saw on hand, so I grabbed this one. This is really good. Like I said, these are really good because they keep my lips hydrated throughout the day. If I don't want to put on a lipstick or a lip gloss, if I just want some kind of balm, they're thick enough to where they keep my lips hydrated, but they're not sticky, and they're not like goopy. So they do keep, they are a nicer, thicker formula, but they do keep my lips really hydrated throughout the whole day. Also, the e.l.f. Ride or Die Lip Balm, and this one's in Just Peachy. The cookie one is my favorite, the one that's in the dark, like the dark pink packaging. That one's my all-time favorite because it smells just like cookies. You could eat it, but I just grabbed the first one that I found because that one stays in my purse. These, when I tell you, these are thick. I mean, they're really thick. I've noticed, like, if I let mine get too cold, like, I cannot get it out of the container. It's hard to get out. But when I tell you, they are so good. Like I said, they are not, I cannot stand a goopy lip gloss or a goopy lip balm, or a lip balm that just feels sticky, or and also one that makes, I know a lot of lip balms do also give you that white ring after you've just worn them for a while. These, like I said, they fade really well. They don't last all day. You will have to reapply, but they do fade really well, and they do last for a good amount of time. But yeah, these are definitely my favorites. Like I said, if they do get cold, they do get really hard. They are a thicker formula. But like I said, I would definitely recommend these, especially before you go to bed. A lot of times I put one of these on. Now I use the clear one before I go to bed because these are the ones that are colored, are tinted. They're a little tinted. So I would recommend the clear one if you do put it on before bed. But I also do put it on before bed as a lip mask, and it works amazing. When I wake up in the next morning, my lips feel really good, really hydrated for the day. And then I have my Sugar Rush. This is the Fresh Pressed Lip Oil. I think it's a lip oil, and this is Tarte's brand, the Sugar Rush brand. This smells, the smell is what got me. It's just, I can't even tell you. It smells like candy, but this smells amazing. But it also works amazing. This is more of a lip oil. Like I said, it is a thinner consistency, but it does keep your lips hydrated. It's not as, it's a little more sticky than the balms are, but it's not like, you know, you don't talk and you have the strings pulling between your lips. That doesn't happen. But because it's not goopy, it is a little oilier than the other ones. But I don't mind a lip oil because, like I said, it does keep my lips really hydrated, and my lips is one of the biggest things that gets dry throughout the day. So yeah, definitely, I definitely keep this on hand, and I use this just about every day. So yeah, that was everything. We made it through all of my products, everything that I love for 2020. I'm so excited for the new year, and yeah, just excited to try out new products, try out new things for you guys, and recommend new things. If there's anything that, like I said, that I didn't mention that you want to see, like I said, I just only did my beauty favorites, my makeup beauty favorites, because I think hair care, skincare, everything is beauty related, but I did only do my makeup favorites because I didn't want us here all day. But yeah, if there's anything else that you want to see, any of my other favorites, like I said, my skincare, hair care, any of that stuff, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to do that for you. But yeah, happy New Year's Eve. I hope everybody has a great New Year's, and I will see you next year in 2021. I love you guys. Bye. I never took